Right, so the first slide that we're going to go to, it's something straight out of a past paper. Before you take down anything on the screen there, right? Salt, tell me something. Can you dissolve salt in water? I'm talking about normal salt found in the kitchen. Can it be dissolved in water? Right? And the answer is yes. I'm sure all of us at some point in time has taken a teaspoon of salt and put it in water. And when you stir it, well, you can't see the salt anymore. You can't see the white crystals. That is because it did something called dissolving, right? Now, not all things can be dissolved in water. For example, butter. If you put butter in water, you take a teaspoon of butter and you put it in water and you stir it, will it dissolve? Will the butter disappear? And you know the answer to that. The answer to that question is no, right? So not all things are dissolvable or can be dissolved in water. But here's the thing. A lot of people think when you are trying to dissolve something, it's always water. Like you always have to put the substance in water. But that's just simply not true. It's just that when you are trying to dissolve something, the most popular thing people look to dissolve something in is water. But the truth is, there are so many liquids on Earth, right? Water is not the only thing that's capable of dissolving something. But I just want to let you all know, water is by far the best thing at dissolving, right? So water is really good at its job when it comes to dissolving. But it have plenty other things you can, liquids on Earth, and it have oil, and you can go in the kitchen now and find a container of oil, and it have alcohol. Alcohol is a liquid, right? It also has vinegar. I think I'm going to spell vinegar wrong here. Well, just bear with me. Vinegar, which you use to, I guess, in the seasoning of chicken and whatnot. It have milk. It have so many different liquids. Now, you can take salt and, of course, try to dissolve it in oil, alcohol, vinegar, or milk. It will work in some and it will work in not some. I don't know which ones will work in and which one will not work in. The point is, I just want to put the idea out there in your head that water is not the only thing that can be used to dissolve something. Any liquid can be used or tried to dissolve something. So which brings us to the vitamins, right? It has many different types of vitamins found in our bodies, right? Or that our bodies need. It has vitamin A, D, E, and K. And you see these four, it's possible to dissolve it in anything fatty, like oil. Oil is fatty. So if you try to dissolve vitamin A, D, E, or K in oil, it will work. However, vitamin B and C can only be dissolved in water. So you call them water-soluble vitamins. A, D, E, and K, you call them fat-soluble vitamins because it needs a fatty liquid or a fatty substance to even attempt to try to dissolve it. And this is straight out of the past papers. They will ask you for 2 examples of a fat-soluble vitamin. And you just put any 2 out of the 4 here. And then I'll ask you for 2 water-soluble vitamins. And guess what you do? You remember it's vitamin B and vitamin C. All right? So take down the information on the slide and let me know when you are finished. All right. So now we're going to move on to something where we're going to learn to test for certain nutrients in food. For example, let's say you go to the grocery and you pick up a can of beans. You know, when you turn to the back, it does have all the nutrients and it is always tell you how much nutrients it have. For example, for protein, you might see the beans has 20 grams of protein. It has 40 grams of carbohydrates. or it has 2 grams of sugar. How do they find this out? How do the people or the scientists figure out not only what nutrients are inside a certain type of food, but how do they even figure out how much? There must be some test they are doing. So you need to know 5 tests, 5 standard tests for the CSEC exams. So today we're going to learn how they test in the lab, how they test for proteins, how they test if foods have fats in them, or if foods are starchy, things like cassava and dasheen. Those things are starchy foods, things like pasta. And when it comes to sugars, there are 2 main categories of sugars. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm just going to mention it back. The 2 categories of sugars, the broad categories, are reducing sugars and the opposite, non-reducing sugars. If they ask you for an example of a reducing sugar, you can either tell them maltose or lactose. And if they ask for example, obviously, of non-reducing sugar, this is sucrose. In case you didn't know, sucrose is kitchen sugar, right? It's, you know, the regular boring sugar that is put in your tea and your coffee and whatnot. The real name for that is sucrose, but we don't say sucrose, we just say sugar, not probably realizing that there are many different types of sugars out there. Quick question, glucose. Glucose is probably the most popular type of sugar in integrated science and HSB because you need glucose for respiration. Which category does glucose belong to? Reducing or non-reducing? Let's see if you guys could remember. I'm not too sure if I mentioned it or if you remember from school. Glucose, which one does it belong to? Reducing or non-reducing? I know most people that's going to guess, right? But send your guess. That's no problem. Once you participate, then it's fine with me. Right. The answer is reducing, right? Glucose is a reducing sugar. So now you have 3 examples of a reducing sugar in case the examiner asks you. Take down everything on this slide and let me know when you are finished. All right, so I think we're going to start off with proteins first. I'm not too sure if I'm going to go in the same order that we have here, but we'll see. Right, now you have a lot of drawings to do here, all right? So, and you have to memorize this by heart for the examiner, especially the adults who have to do a paper 3. Remember, on the day of the exam, you will actually have to go and do the experiment in some cases. But it also comes in the normal paper 2 and the paper 1 also. So everybody needs to know it. So the first one, we're going to test for proteins. Now, as we all know, we find a lot of foods that contain proteins are things like meat, beans, milk. Those things have a lot of proteins. So here's what you need to do. You need to get 2 test tubes. The first test tube, like if it's meat, what you're going to do, you're going to take the meat, the food that's being tested, and you're just going to cut it up, like chip it up into small pieces. And you're going to put it in this test tube. So let's pretend it's a piece of beef or something, right? So you chip it up, the beef, and you throw it inside a test tube. Then you have to take this substance called sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide is a special chemical, right? And it's a liquid, right? And what you're going to do, you're going to pour it in to mix with the food being tested, right? So you're mixing the sodium hydroxide with it. Then you take that mixture, and let's draw the beef here, mixed with the sodium hydroxide, because remember, you're pouring what? Sodium hydroxide. Then you take another chemical called copper sulfate solution, and you put little drops of it inside this mixture. And if, only if, the solution turns purple, but this is the best purple I have. I don't have an actual purple color, but this is supposed to be my purple. If everything turns purple, then that food contains protein, only if it turns purple, right? Pretty simple once the diagram is in front of you, but to memorize it for the exam, obviously it's going to be a little bit tricky. So you have to keep like watching it every other day or try to draw it back from scratch every once in a while so it sticks in your head. I'm going to give you all 5 minutes to draw this out properly. I know some of you all may not be too fast at the drawing, but I think 5 minutes, should be enough. Let me know when you guys are finished as usual. Let's move on. I have a little scene here, right? I think you all probably do. All right, so let's start off with this one. I think you all know how this one goes. Choose one of the animals from the list. Let me go. I'm feeling lucky with the bee. I'm going to choose the bee. All right. Now, it's 3 slides I'm going to show you, and from each one, you have to choose one animal, and then you see if what your combination shows up at the end. Right? So send your choices, and whatever you choose, you cannot change it. Those are the rules. So I chose the B for the next one. Let's see the other one. Choose a letter. I'm feeling lucky with the letter. I'm going to go with K. Right, write it down because you're going to forget, right? Whatever you choose. Let's just choose one more. Let's see what the other one is. Choose one object. I'm going to go with the cactus. I should probably choose something I could spell. I'm going to go with the bat. I realize I can't spell cactus right now. Oh, CSEC, right? Okay. But anyway, due to my limited spelling, I have to go with B, K, and bat. Let's see what combination shows up. Anybody combination shows up? My one did not, because I chose the letter K and none of them has the letter K. Let me know how much money you won. Be honest, be honest. How much money? I mean, if you win nothing, you win nothing, right? Not everyone could win. Wait, Marika, none. Zaria, none. Somebody won $700 there. All right. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right. The next one, it's pretty simple compared to the last one. You're going to test for something that has starch in it. How do you figure that out? So first of all, you need to get some food that has starch or you think has starch in it. So anything like, cassava, dasheen, pasta. So what you do once again, you take the food and you chip it up, right? And this one is easy. All you have to do is add something called iodine or iodine, however you want to pronounce it, right? Now, the thing about it, iodine or iodine has a kind of straw-ish color naturally. In case you don't know what straw is, like what color that is, that's a kind of yellowish, a kind of dirty yellow color. So like, in case you didn't know, I'll put it here. It's a dirty yellowish color. And all you have to do is take the iodine and put some drops of it to cover or just add it to the food being tested. And if it turns into a kind of dark blue, right? If it turns very deep blue, this is the deepest blue I have, unfortunately, in my free coloring set here. All right. If it turns deep blue or blue-black, that means the food contains starch. This one is real simple. So you just add in the iodine and looking for a very dark blue. And that's an indication if the food contains starch or not. All right, so once I don't think you need 5 minutes for this one. I think about 3 minutes should be more than enough. Let's move on. I didn't expect a cutscene so fast. All right, guys. So here's how this one is gonna work. It have two L's, but two L's is L's. So a L or O. What's gonna happen? The magician is gonna throw each letter into the magic thing there, and it's going to be changed into a certain amount of money. So I'm gonna choose it here. I'm gonna go with the letter E. I'm feeling lucky with the letter E. Right? Yeah, you can choose a letter based on your name if you wish. All right, so let's see. First one here, right? Let's go with the letter H. So the letter H disappears. It goes into the little magic crystal here. For those who chose H, you got 4,000. So write down the amount of money you made, 4,000 there. Let's get the E out of the way. So the E goes, put it into the magic container here. E people, you only get 1,000. The H was a much better deal. Let's try the L's. We have two L's, but you know, L is L. All right, the L's go in. And oh, the L's is the bad choice. I only got $200. Yeah. Some bad luck in me today. All right. Let's go. The letter O. Let's see if we get lucky with the letter O, guys. Oh, I chose E. Oh, sorry. It's on the screen too. And I think I chose L. The O wasn't too bad. The O was 3,000. Oh, yeah. I got $1,000. Sorry. I don't know what's with my head today. I got $1,000. All right. Anybody? Well, it's idea to get the biggest one or the smallest one, right? So I see a lot of people did choose H and a lot of people did choose O. So congrats. Let's move on. All right. So this one here is it's how do I say? It's how to test for one of the reducing sugars. Reducing sugars. Anybody wants to quickly give me an example of a name of a reducing sugar? Without looking back. I know I did it a couple slides ago. Reducing sugar. Right? You had three to choose from, right? Maltose, lactose. No, sucrose is not a reducing sugar. Sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Glucose is a reducing sugar. All right, so this one here it's a little bit complicated. It's not simple like the other one. So all you have to do is get the food that is being tested. So we're testing for reducing sugars now. Foods with maltose, lactose, or even glucose. So what you do, you get that particular food, and as usual, you chip it up and you put it inside this test tube. Now there's a special solution called Benedict's solution, right? Well, what you have to do, they sell this in chemical stores, right? That sells and specialize in chemicals and whatnot. It's a special solution. All you have to do is take this and throw it obviously into the food being tested. But that's not all. After you add it to the food being tested, right? You have to take that mixture now, the Benedict solution and the bits of food, and you have to heat it. This doesn't work unless you heat it. And after you heat it, if it turns orange, like the contents in the test tube turns orange, well then the food contains reducing sugars. Obviously, you won't know what type of reducing sugar. You won't know whether it's maltose, lactose, or glucose. You will just know generally that there is a reducing sugar. For the CXC syllabus, you don't have to go into the more detailed test where you can differentiate between the different types of reducing sugars. This is where it ends for the CXC syllabus, right? So 5 minutes for this one should be enough, right? All right. All right, so here's this one. I like this one. You guys need to unscramble the word. What word, if you unscramble the word based on the hint, there's a hint. If you read what Grassy the grasshopper is saying, you think you guys can unscramble that word? It's a place a boat can be, right? I'm only willing to give away 2 letters. Zaria, correct. Javish, correct. Oh Lord, I thought it would have been harder than this. Anybody needs a little bit of help? I'm willing to display 1 word, give away 1 word in its correct position. Nicole, correct. Elizabeth, correct. Alex, correct. If anybody wants an assist, let me know. Oh Lord. Dina, correct. All right, let me give away Amy, correct. Let me give away 1 letter. Cindy, correct. Actually, you get 2 letters. Right, so for those who didn't send in a guess now, the A and the F are in the correct places. Where do the rest of the letters go to give you the word? Keelan, correct. Marika, correct. Emma, correct. All right. So for those who sent in their correct responses, collect your 4,000. The word is Pacific, like as in the Pacific Ocean. All right, guys. So let's move on to the next one. All right, so this one here is a bit tough, right? All right. So this here is the test for the non-reducing sugars. So the non-reducing sugars, it's like sucrose, which is regular sugar that you find in your kitchen. So what you're going to have to do for this one, right? And let's get it here, right? You're going to have to chip up whatever food that you are trying to test. So you chip up the food, but you also mix the food with something called hydrochloric acid. The symbol for hydrochloric acid, for those who will need to go into the lab, it's HCl. That's the abbreviation for hydrochloric acid. So you just take the food, mix it with hydrochloric acid. All right. Then you take this mixture and you boil it in some water, right? So, there's boiling water here. So you put the whole mixture, because this will only work under hot conditions. So, that's why you're heating it. After you heat it up using the boiling water, right? You take it out. And then you add something called hydrogen carbonate. When you go in the lab, hydrogen carbonate will be this. The abbreviation is H2CO3. My mistake. Sodium hydrogen carbonate, my mistake. This here is the abbreviation for it, just in case they don't write out the whole words in the lab. Sodium hydrogen carbonate. And you take the sodium hydrogen carbonate and pour it into the heated mixture. Then you put it back in a test tube. So you have 3 things in this test tube now: the food, the hydrochloric acid, and the sodium hydrogen carbonate. And you put back everything inside some boiling water. And then you add the Benedict's solution. And only after all of that, only if it turns orange, then it has a non-reducing sugar. That's a very long procedure. I hope you all do not get this one for the exam, but it has come already. So that means history can repeat itself. Right? Now take my advice, and guys, watching it once in class is not enough. Whenever you get some free time, take some blank paper and see if you can draw back the whole experiment from beginning to end and label it with the correct words and learn to spell the words. Okay, that's all I could really advise. Right, so take 5 minutes as usual and we will move on. All right, so let's see if you all get a little break after this. You had to expect one after that, right? Right. So this one is pretty easy. This one is just simply choose two numbers, and let's hope they end up being the same color. This is one of the easier games to play, very fast, fun, effective. So I'm going to choose two colors as well. What I'm going to choose there. Today, what's the date today? Today is anybody know the date today? Today is the 28th or the 29th? Today is the 28th. So I'm going to go with 2 and 8. That's just my thinking here. So some people went with 4, 11. Come guys, send in whatever your choice is. Whatever you choose, you cannot change it. Oh, I have 4 twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is supposed to be 5. Sorry. This is supposed to be 5. Sorry, my bad, guys. Seems I can't count properly. All right, so let's see what, let's change the colors. Oh, I lost the game. 2 and 8 are definitely different colors. Anybody was able to claim their $5,000? A lot of people got lucky. I guess today is your day. All right, let's move on. All right, so this one here is the test for fats. And this one is pretty easy. Fatty foods are like butter, cheese has a lot of fats, avocado has a lot of fats. This one is pretty simple. You're just going to take the food that's being tested, you chip it up and you throw it in and you mix it with alcohol. So you're basically mixing the alcohol and the food being tested. And then what you have to do, you're going to take this alcohol and food mixture and shake it, right? So you shake it, right? So it's really, really well mixed. And then you have to take this mixture of the alcohol and the food and pour it into cold water. It has to be cold water. And if the whole thing turns milky white, then that particular food has fats in it. But keep in mind, the examiner will be looking for that word, cold water. You just can't say water. It must be cold water. Otherwise, believe me, it simply will not work. Right? The kind of alcohol, there are many different types of alcohols. For those who are doing chemistry, to let you know, the word alcohol will suffice, but if your one is usually ethanol, right? But just use the word alcohol and you will be fine for the exam, right? There are many different types of alcohols out there. I have a good feeling it's I'm hoping it's a cutscene after, right? Oh, sorry guys, no cutscene as yet, but that's okay. All right, so fiber. Now, believe it or not, your body cannot digest fiber. You see, when you eat proteins or fats or carbohydrates or starch, your body can actually do what? Take those types of nutrients and break it down smaller within your digestive system, and your body will absorb it and do useful things with the proteins, the carbohydrates, and the fats. But there's this thing called fiber. I'm pretty sure that everyone has heard this word from the amount of advertisements where they sell fiber tablets, and they always try to promote fiber as a health product. Now, your body cannot digest or break down fiber, but it's still very, very useful. Well, what it does, right? Fiber allows you to go to the toilet regularly. It prevents constipation. It also helps control your blood sugar levels. As we all know, high blood sugar is bad, or even low blood sugar is bad, right? But fiber actually has a role. It actually helps, control the amount of sugar in your blood, even though your body cannot digest it. And look at number 3, it actually helps reduce cholesterol. As we all know, but a lot of people don't know this, right? But there are actually 2 types of cholesterol, right? There's actually good cholesterol and there is bad cholesterol. Now, fiber plays the role of controlling bad cholesterol, right? The bad ones. But don't worry, the CSEC syllabus is not going to go into detail about good cholesterol or bad cholesterol. You just have to use the words that it helps control the cholesterol. Okay, and you're good enough there for the CSEC exam. So if they ask you for 3 uses of fiber in the body, that's exactly what I want you to write. And this is based on a past paper question. And if they ask you for sources of fiber, like which foods have fiber, I gave you 5 examples. Right, so there isn't too much to explain here. I think it's pretty easy to understand. Let me know when you are finished. All right, so let's see what the next slide holds. I have a good feeling you're going to get a break here. All right, so you have to try to guess the word over here. You have to try to guess the words. And that's all right. So you have a hint over there, right? So I'm going to remove one letter at a time, right? I'm only going to remove 5. And let's see if you guess the word. Anybody wants to take a guess? The word starts with C. Keelan, correct. I just stopped giving such good hints. Nicole, correct. No, Elizabeth. Check it back. Let's remove one more letter. I should remove one more just to make it easier. Should make it easier now. Jivesh, correct. Elizabeth, try it back, try it back. Dana, correct. Once you get it correct, claim your $3,000. Davina, correct. Kenya, correct. Jamal, correct. And the last one, okay, remove. It should be obvious now by now what word that is. Yes. All right. So once you get it out by this point, claim your $3,000. All right. It's classroom, right? No, Emma. It was classroom. All right. So let's move on. All right. So the next one here, it's the causes of constipation, right? Like from this point on, it's going to be the class is going to be very, very simple. So the causes of constipation, well, usually constipation is caused by when you don't have enough fiber in your body. Well, I think we just mentioned this in the last slide, right? Fiber helps reduce constipation. Another cause is dehydration. You have to give yourself enough water throughout the day, right? And believe it or not, the lack of physical activity. You see, a lot of for people who don't move around a lot, or they may just sit down whole day. You know, some people, we just call them, there's a word, a couch potato. They just sit down on the couch whole day. They don't get up and move around. And when I say exercise, I'm not talking about exercise as that you have to go to the gym and work out hard. I'm talking about just getting up and walking around the house. And might walk up some stairs. A lot of people actually don't get to do that, or have no urge to do that. And that could actually lead to constipation. Believe it or not, it can. And then they have some people who just suffering from an actual medical condition, right? Such as irritable bowel syndrome, right? It's an actual condition that you need to go to the doctor to sort out. Right, and well, effects of constipation. The first one is obvious, right? Abdominal pain and bloating. A lot of people might not know the second one, but it could cause nausea and vomiting, and in very extreme cases, bleeding. Right. So there isn't too much more to explain. I just need you to take it down, and of course, memorize it. All right. Right. So this one is not constipation, right? So yeah, for the syllabus, you need to know the causes of diarrhea, right? There isn't too much to explain here. I'm just looking for anything that needs to be explained here. Remember, diarrhea is basically the opposite of constipation, right? That's when you go to the washroom too much, all right? Now, I think this one is pretty straightforward. So if there's anything in this slide that you don't understand, send me a message on the chat. I'll try my best to explain it. But as usual, take 5 minutes and take down everything on the screen. I think y'all deserve one here. Oh, no, it's one of these. But I'm going to take it. I know I have to choose change one of them to 5. Don't worry, I'll remember. I'm gonna change him to 5 one time. All right, so he will be 5. All right, guys, choose 2 numbers there. I'm gonna choose, let's see, 1 and 12. The first and the last. Probably I'll be lucky that way. And this is for $8,000. A lot of people are choosing 3 and something. That's giving you the odds. All right, let's get ready, right? Just 2 numbers, just 2 numbers. Oh, I lost again. Anybody was able to pick up that $8,000? I was totally unable. Dina won. Oh. 1 and 6. Oh, 1 and 6 is correct. Well, 1 and 6 is the same color. Both of them is orange. Just one looking a little lighter than the other. But 1 and 6 is orange. That's correct. I probably chose the wrong orange when I was labeling the one. All right, so let's move on. All right, so this one here, even though this is common sense, we should be very, very happy that some of the questions in the exam are actually based on things we normally know, right? So they usually like to bring a lot of questions on hygiene, proper hygiene in the preparation of food. And we all know this is important. When you all go to buy food, right? Let's say you go KFC or Royal Castle or any other place, you're buying like a potato roti or whatnot. And you just want the place to look clean. And of course, you just want to make sure that whoever is preparing your food is following proper hygienic practices, right? We all want that. And there are very good reasons for it, right? And of course, if you read through this here, it's going to be pretty easy, right? So let's read through this. Proper hygiene in the preparation of food is important in preventing digestive issues, because if you eat bad food, well, you're definitely going to have some serious side effects. Most likely it's going to be diarrhea or some sort of vomiting or whatnot, right? I think number one is obvious for anybody here into the food business. Like, does anybody here, parents, run a food business? Like, this would be what? Pretty standard procedure. You wash your hands. You want whoever is preparing your food to be washing their hands constantly. Cooking food at the recommended temperature, right? I'm not a chef, right? So you all might know a little bit more than me. Like when you're cooking beef, the pot or the pan has to be at a certain temperature. Otherwise, it will not kill the bacteria properly. And different meats have different types of bacteria. So you need a chef will know the different temperatures. Obviously, the cutting boards and utensils must be clean. You have to store food properly, like food that needs to be in the fridge. You need to put it in the fridge. You can't leave the food outside for too long, right? And I only knew about this only a few years back, right? I never actually knew about number 5, to be honest, right? I never paid attention to it. But apparently, you ever went into like let me say, a restaurant that serves many different types of food. So you go up to the counter and there's a separate spoon for the tomatoes, for the tomato choker. There's a separate spoon for the bhaji. There's a separate spoon for the chicken. You'll ever realize that they're not supposed to use the same spoon to serve different foods. It's one spoon per food type. Anybody ever realize that? The only reason I knew about this is because the lady who was serving another lady, she took the same spoon and served tomato, and then she put the same spoon in the bhaji. Now, to me, that is not a problem. But a big argument break out about how that is not proper protocol, and you have cross-contamination, and a whole argument break out in front of me, and I had to wait longer to get my food. And then, it's stuck in my head ever since. Right? I guess, some people are more picky than others. All right, so here's something very, very simple. It's a definition they ask you all the time in the exam. You get 2 marks for it. They like to ask you, what is a balanced diet? Well, even before you read the note in front of you, common sense will say a balanced diet is a diet that when you eat food, you get enough of all the nutrients, right? And so here's the definition for 2 marks in the exam. Read it through, nothing much to explain here, right? Right, so take it down. I don't think you need 5 minutes. This is just about half a minute, 30 seconds, and we will move on. So we get one last game before, right? All right, because what's the time now? The time is, let's see, 10:34. So how about one last game before we all leave here today? Because we only have like 5 minutes left. That's all right. Yeah, well, 5 minutes left. What you have to do is choose 2 eggs, any 2 eggs. When the eggs fall and crack, it's either you get nothing, like a broken egg, or it has money inside. So I'm going to play as well. I'm going to go with 2 and 4. That's my pick here. All right. All right, let's go with the first egg. We're going to put the scissors here. You see the little scissors there? And we're going to cut it. The first one just gives you a rotten egg. Nothing in it. So sorry for the people who chose number 1. Let's cut the next one. All right, so we're going to cut the next one. 2 has $1,000 in it. Anybody got $1,000 there? Let's cut the next one. Oh, the third one is $500. Let's cut the next one, number 4. Oh Lord. Number 4 is a rotten egg. Number 5, let's cut him. Number 5 had some money in it. So I only got $1,000 because number 2 had $1,000 and my number 4 had nothing in it. You all want to tally up how much money you got today, guys? Let's see who came out with the most money. Tally up how much money, just for today, not last week's one, just for today. What? 15,000 people have $6,000, 5,700. What a lot of money there. All right. All right. So next week, what we're gonna do, right? We just have to finish up nutrition. We're not too far away from finishing it up, right? And then we're gonna start officially the digestive system next week, right? So next week we finishing up nutrition, just to repeat, and then we're going to start the digestive system. And guys, how the homework is going? You're finished with the transport systems. That's like the circulatory system with the heart and the vein and the arteries and how blood moves around your body, right? Right, so in about 2 weeks, as soon as we finish digestion, I'm going to test you all on the transport system, okay? All right, guys, not going to hold you back too much, right? You all seem very tired today. I'll see you all next week, right? No problem, Marika. That's still good. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.